Welcome to the Chinballs live podcast. This is the Gabe Station Pocket, I've called it. Gabe Station Pocket. I was going to go with Gabe Station Colour, but then I thought no, because it's a pocket device, so which you'd need some really big pockets to be fair.
That makes sense.
Anyway, the news has been the Gabe Station is the Steam Deck, not Stream Deck. That's Elgato. The Steam Deck is being released, and this is a computer you can take with you. It's basically a Switch, but a PC. So, you got any initial thoughts on it? I've already pre-ordered one, but I'm not 100% sure if I will keep it. But I thought for a €4 deposit, it wasn't so bad.
I did exactly the same thing.
Oh, did you really? You didn't tell me this? Which one did you go for?
Come on, I was always going to. I think.
I wasn't sure because you are in a situation where you've just bought an actual gaming PC, laptop, so it's portable anyway. Right. But I do know that probably one of your favourite things is probably playing Civilization on the toilet.
This is true. This is absolutely true. I like playing Civilization anywhere, especially on the toilet. Yeah. Another one of my favourite things to do is buy things from Steam that I never play. So I think it'd be quite nice if I also bought a machine from Steam that I never play.
That is true. And yo, Madam Scurvy, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for joining us.
So yeah, which version have you opted for?
High roller version of.
Oh, you're going for the high roller. See,
yeah,
I went for the poor man.
Did you? Is that? But you get that quicker, apparently.
Apparently, I saw a lot of people complaining about not being able to pre-order one and it crashing for like hours and hours on end. And
really?
Yeah, I looked at my watch and like, oh shit, it went live 20 minutes ago. I then just casually got my laptop, opened it up, went to Steam, clicked buy, and the store was pretty damn slow to be fair. And when I pressed buy, it did nothing for 5 minutes, and I was like, this has probably not worked. And then it said, order complete. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. So yeah, it didn't take me any effort really. It wasn't like buying a graphics card where I had to keep spamming refresh and having the server crash like a million times. It was pretty painless to be fair. But
I didn't do mine until like I think it was this morning even.
Oh really? Right.
Yeah, I was like, I wasn't in any hurry. I was like I said, I don't even know it. I think same boat as you. It's like for a €4 like buy-in. I mean, who cares, right?
Yeah. Well, it does say as well that if you choose not to purchase the console, I keep thinking it's not a console, is it? If you choose not to purchase the Steam Deck, your credit will be converted to Steam credit. Like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm already Steam credit. Thanks, cryptos. So it really was zero effort for me, but yeah, I don't know. It's a funny one, really. That whole hoo-ha. I like how they've done that. In fairness, like
I think it's very good.
Yeah. From their point of view, they have an idea of how much inventory they'll now need, and also they've got a fairly good idea that at least anyone who really wants one will get one, and that scalpers will have less of a market to sell them to.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
I think it's a really sensible solution. I think this is it, and I guess this is a point that I'd come on with the whole Steam Deck thing. Is like they've proven out a lot of their approaches with their previous sort of endeavors. You know, this is kind of what they did. They never had the queue system, but they know that they can sell hardware out to people's Steam accounts quite painlessly because they've done it with like the Steam Link and the Steam controller. And probably I haven't had one, but probably the Valve Index too.
Yeah, the headset, the VR headset, yeah.
So they know how to shift physical kit to humans now. They know they can do that. So yeah, it makes sense from their point of view to have that queue system associated with accounts. Yeah, there's a lot of bot accounts on Steam. There always has been, but you know, there's still a lot of real accounts too, and they can tell which ones are real and which ones are less.
Yeah. So just to quickly mention the price, I'll say it in dollars because it's easier for everyone to convert to other things, I assume. So $400 for the base one, which is the one I went for. $530 for the 256 gigabyte SSD, and $650 for the 512. So that is a $300 more between the
Yeah.
lowest and the highest one, and they are semi-custom SSDs, but SSDs don't cost that much,
No, they don't.
and and because the lowest model which I've gone for doesn't even have a real SSD, it's a eMMC, which is essentially it's a SD card that's been soldered
yeah.
on to somewhere, and it's to be honest, it stinks of. Basically, they needed a price to hit, and that's what the lowest one is. They don't really want anyone to buy that because I would assume that they're making either no profit or negative profit on the lowest
Oh, I
model.
read. Yeah,
And
they definitely are. I read something this week from Gabe, and he was saying, they have really struggled on price. They are expecting to shift a lot of these things and then make it back through buying of Steam games.
yeah,
This is the way. This is their iPhone. This is their Xbox. This is their device to get you on that ecosystem rather than Epic or well, no, there isn't really an alternative. This is
that is.
their play to make you not buy games from Epic.
And just quickly, hello Rabinator and hello Playmo UK. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining.
What's up, streamers?
Yeah, I really don't sort of like the pricing structure that they've gone for, but I guess that this is what they've got to do. And when they initially announced the console, they said that the hard drive inside is not upgradable or user replaceable, and they've since backtracked a little on that, saying that it is actually an M2 drive inside there, but it's not user accessible, which basically means everyone's going to upgrade it.
Yeah.
So
Or a proper M2 as well. You'll be putting your Samsung Evos in there before.
well, the SSDs they've gone for are very very small ones, which are very uncommon. They're not like they're not hard to find. I mean, I've seen a few on Amazon and things, but basically
Oh, physically small.
physically tiny. They are the same size as a Wi-Fi card. There's not
Oh,
many SSDs that are even that size. There's a few. I've seen a few Western Digitals, a few Samsungs, but they're mostly all OEM. And but you can still obviously find them on different channels. So a 512 gigabyte SSD would set you back at retail about €100, $100 euro pounds is I go for, and a 256 will set you back 65. So yeah, they are rare, and but if these consoles do well, it might encourage manufacturers to actually make more of these drives just for this. I mean, the other option is also an SD card. You can also pick up a 512 SD card for. I think I saw one earlier, and it was like 45 quid. And
yeah.
but SD cards are crap essentially. Like the read write speed on a SD card is probably equivalent to a laptop hard drive, basically the same hard drive that a PS4 and an Xbox One had. So it's not as bad as what people are making out it will be. The write speeds are really low, but the read speeds are around 100 megabytes a second, like I say, which is the same as like a physical drive. I mean, I wouldn't encourage people to stick games like Death Stranding or anything new on there, but for the majority of your library, which is probably a lot of indie games and things, it's not going to struggle at all. You might have a couple of seconds extra loading time, but it's not really so much of a problem. It will be a problem, like I say, if you stick something big on there.
And I wonder, like that's yeah, okay, fair enough. Like the read speed, the write speed, that's going to have an impact on what games you choose to play and stuff. But we've all been playing games. We've been playing games off mechanical hard drives for such a long time. A lot of us have got used to that kind of plunk. I think, honestly, it's going to be the form factor of the Steam Link that decides what games you choose to play on it. Yes, I mean, there's this bold claim of you'll be able to take your whole Steam library. Let's put aside for the moment, because I know we'll talk about this one, the idea that it's actually only the ones that are Linux compatible out of the box. But the even if you do have all of your Steam library and all that kind of thing, I cannot see a world in which you want to play every game on Steam on a device like that.
Yeah, well, if you saw the marketing material, they were showing it off with Death Stranding and Control, all these big hitting games, and let's
You
just
show it, but
hold
that
on.
doesn't mean you'd actually want to play it
I
on
mean,
that.
it would be novel and everything, but it's like this the size of these games. One, like most of them won't fit on the Mace model at all. Like
Yeah,
Warzone
that's true.
or Black Ops Cold War will probably barely fit on the 256 one. And there's no way you're going to be playing those games off SD. That would really struggle. I think the only thing I can really compare it to that I've tried that has had similar speed is I once played Bioshock Infinite, plugged in to my router, so that the hard drive with my Steam library on was plugged into my router, and I was playing it in a different room through 3 different routers, through a 100 megabit per second Ethernet cable, and it runs surprisingly well. Except the load time was painful, and anytime new assets needed to load in, the frame rate tanked to like unplayable levels, like 1 to 2 frames per second for like 10, 15 seconds or something like this. But after it had loaded the assets in, it was perfectly fine. So it
Why would
really,
you do that?
I just really want, because at the time I had 2 computers in the house, and I used to sometimes play on this one, sometimes play on that one. So I thought, I know, I'll try it as a network storage and see if I can just play it from anywhere. But yeah, it was bad. And the speeds of these SD cards are probably not too dissimilar from that.
Yeah.
So I
I think
think as long as you choose what games you put on the SD card, it's going to be fine. Just fill up the SD card with all your indie games: Lonely Mountain Downhill, Super Meat Boys, Slay the Spire, Baba Is You. All these games aren't going to have a problem. Basically, anything that loads itself completely into the RAM isn't going to even
no.
touch the SD card.
But every single one of those games you mentioned is also already available on Nintendo Switch. So,
Yes, that's true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
so
But
and
we'll talk
and
about
I,
the Switch later.
and that's kind of where I was going. It's like, yes, I could play Crusader Kings 3 on a Steam Deck. Am I going to have any pleasure playing Crusader Kings 3, even with all the Steam controller gubbins on a Steam Deck? No, I am not, because it's text heavy on a small screen. It's mouse. It's very mouse heavy. It's very keyboard heavy. Anything like that is not going to be the thing. It's just because you can doesn't mean you will. And I say that as somebody who has experimented many, many times with various different things. Um, I think people get caught up in the idea, the sort of like the romance of the idea of, yeah, I can have this in my pocket, or I can, and I say pocket again, it's an absolute, make no bones
It's a
about it. This
beast.
this thing is huge. It is probably. I say it's huge. It's huge for a handheld. It's probably. I haven't done the measurements, but I would imagine it's somewhere the same sort of size as an Xbox One Series S, which is small for a living room console, but it's not small for
From what I've seen of it, it looks
something
basically like a Switch. But have you seen them?
bigger than the Switch.
The Hori
It's way
controllers that you can buy, the really
yes,
horrible ones. It looks
yeah, but
like a Switch
sit
with
out.
those attached and then slightly increased in size. From what I read, apparently it's twice the weight of a Nintendo Switch, which is very heavy. You're not going to be wanting
Yeah,
to hold that for a long time. People are saying like 2 to 8 hours. That's not like very long time. It's like I don't want to be holding that crap for that long.
this is it, right? And so nobody is buying a Steam Deck as their primary PC. I think that's
Or at least they
um,
shouldn't be. Definitely not. This
if
is definitely to
no,
complement your already existing computer.
this is it. I think if we consider who this is for, because that's a very fair question. This isn't for everyone. Not every PC gamer will want one of these. A new PC gamer is probably like, if you are somebody who's never played a PC game before, and you see the Switch next to the Steam Link in a shop, Steam Deck in a shop, which are you going to go for? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But I can't see this being a primary
Yeah.
PC gaming device
Well,
for most people.
we'll
Um,
we'll get on to Nintendo in a minute. That's one of the topics I wanted to cover. But first, we'll just go through the specs a little bit. So it's a 4-core processor, 8 threads, 16 gig of RAM, and well, the GPU is built into the into the CPU. So it's from what I've seen of the specs, it's it's not even close to being anywhere near a Xbox Series S. So I think people need to expect that it's not going to be an Xbox Series S. Sorry. I think the Series S has twice the CPU power, and it has more than twice the GPU power. So this is why I'm a bit worried about them showing off these high-end games on it, because it's just it will play them. It will play them nicely at 720p on that little screen and everything, and at medium or low settings. But if you're thinking you can plug this into your TV and play it all at 4K, then that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I think it is a fair point, that one. And this is where it comes into, this isn't going to be the primary thing. I think, there's been strides in what you get out of your performance and things. You look at the new MacBooks and the M1 chips they've got in there. They're not as they get more out of what traditionally would have been a huge ask, right? But is that sort of spec really going to line up with, like you said, the games that they're showing off? I guess we don't know. The specs don't look like they will, but we don't know, I guess, until we see it and we play it and we experience it.
I know I'm speaking a lot of negatives about it, but I am really excited about it. It is sort of what I've always it's what's always annoyed me about. We'll start on to Nintendo now, actually. So the next topic I wanted to bring up is, should Nintendo be worried about this? Is this actually competition for Nintendo? For me, it is, yes, because the reason why I don't really use my Switch so much is that I've already bought most of my games on Steam, because I'm primarily a PC gamer. I love to play on my monitor, and it really annoys me when I'm playing a game like Lonely Mountains. I'm using Lonely Mountains Downhill because I'm really enjoying that at the moment. Been playing this on on Steam, and it's great. And if I could buy it again on Switch and play it there, but I don't want to, because I'm so annoyed with the Switch having to buy the same games all over again. I think there's actually 2 games I own on Switch which I've got elsewhere. So Trials Rising and Worms, whatever the new Worms was. And I've not got that many games on Switch, but I would happily have more portable, like Streets of Rage 4 and Lonely Mountains Downhill and all these other games, but I just don't want to keep buying games twice. So this, for me, is perfect because it's just got my entire Steam library on. I don't have to decide whether to buy it on Switch or on Steam. I can just buy everything on Steam, and it will be either on my computer or I'll be able to take it with me. So perfect. That's me sorted. But for Nintendo, should Nintendo be worried? What do you think?
I think to an extent, yeah. But Nintendo don't make most of their money by people buying second copies of Lonely Mountains Downhill or even first copies of Lonely Mountains Downhill, do they? But that's not. If they lose out on the revenue of things like that, they're not going to be bothered. And it comes down to who's buying the machine.
Will it hurt console sales?
If you've got the 2 boxes side by side in a big box retailer, wherever that may be, are you picking up a Switch or are you picking up a Steam Deck? And a lot of it comes down to what you've done before. And I think more people, probably, entirely honestly, at this point, more people will pick up the Switch over the Steam Deck, regardless of what they put on the box to say how many games you can play on this thing, what you can do with it, what you can do with it. For one, it's going to be cheap. It's going to be more expensive to buy a Steam Deck, even at the cheapest option. And it's still, I have to say again, like, we've bagged on it, but we haven't bagged on it. We've been critical of it fairly, I think. But I do think they should get some plaudits, because that price point, it's not excessive at all for that. Certainly for the base model, it's a really reasonable price.
A good price, yeah.
Yeah.
And
should Nintendo be worried? That's a tough one, and it comes down to, what will people buy the Steam Deck and then buy games on the Steam Deck that wouldn't have done on Switch? And I'm not sure that's the case, because I think you can't play Mario on Steam Deck no matter what you do.
Can't play Zelda. Well, you probably could, but not legally and not probably very well. I
So
would assume.
I think on one level they should be worried. On another, probably not even at all.
I think they obviously, if I were to draw a Venn diagram, the one with the circles, they will definitely overlap a little the target audiences for the Steam Deck and for the Switch, but not a massive amount. I would say. I would definitely say that a Switch is more focused towards the younger end,
Yeah.
the younger children and families, whereas a Steam Deck, I would never give a child under
No,
the
my
age
child's
of
never
10,
getting over
but
that. No.
probably, yeah, ever would get that because it's a PC, it's open, and yeah, it's a scary place. Nintendo's nicely locked down and everything,
Yeah.
and it's got. I'm not saying Steam doesn't have family games, but the Switch has more, and also it has two controllers built in. So you just buy one, and if you've got two
Yeah.
kids, you've got two controllers already. With the Steam Deck, if you want to play multiplayer, you can't even use the controls that are built in unless it's a pass the pad thing. You have to buy two extra controllers. Maybe you've already got Xbox controllers lying around that you can target and everything. But to me, the target audiences are completely different. Obviously, like I say, there's a bit of an overlap, but a Nintendo Switch is always going to be better at playing Nintendo games and family and younger audiences. The Steam
I
Deck is
agree.
going to be for people who are into their PC gaming and more adults, young adults, maybe teenagers who want to be showing off to their friends that they can run Fortnite at 243 frames a second, rather than what you get on a Switch or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think Nintendo. Obviously, I'm sure they've got people working there who are keeping an eye out and having a good old look at it. But I don't think anyone's going to be particularly worried that, oh no, we're going bankrupt tomorrow.
No, but then they've been in that place before, so I think if anything, they're going to defend it a little bit more. So you think about when, like, Sega in America, particularly, brought out the Genesis, and up until that point, Nintendo owned the gaming landscape, and Sega brought out the Genesis. Didn't do so well in Japan comparatively, but in America, it took over and absolutely disrupted it. And Nintendo's tack then was,
The
we
Game
know
Gear
who
does
we
what
are.
Nintendo don't.
Exactly that, and it was very true. But Nintendo were quite all right with that. They were like, we know who we are as a business. We know what we do. We provide family-friendly games. We provide what we provide. If you are doing something different, that's not a problem because we think what we provide is something that lasts through time. And I think over time, Nintendo have softened that message because they've allowed, more adult themed content on their store. They've
Doom.
embraced online a little bit more. They've still were very late to the party on it, but they've got there. Um, but I think at the core, that still rings true, and I think that's what a Switch gives you. Like I said, like you've said, right? If you've got a family, you're buying a Switch. You're not buying a Steam Deck for your family. You're buying a Switch. If you are a PC enthusiast, you might consider buying a Steam Deck. But it then does come down to: do I buy it at worst a bottom end Steam Deck? What did you say? $400
$400.
versus versus a Switch at 280, probably cheaper than that by this point.
And
And
you've got to
then
also remember this: the Switch, at $50 cheaper, also comes with the dock, so you can actually put it on the TV.
that's a good shout, yeah.
And
Um,
if you didn't want the dock, you could go even cheaper with the Switch and buy a Lite, and they're
that's
a
right.
ridiculous value at €200, dollar, pounds.
And if the games that you're going to play on your Steam Deck are the ones that are available on Switch, but you don't want to buy them a second time, then that's where you're paying the money. Either way, you're paying the money for the games that you already own. You're either paying it in hardware or you're paying it to buy it again on another platform. So,
But you briefly mentioned earlier about Valve proving that they can deliver hardware. But can they prove that they can stick with hardware? I will quickly show you this if it doesn't phase out. I am one of the few people who actually own and still actually use my Steam machine, which
oh my God, you have a Steam machine.
I've had a Steam machine since launch. This is the i5 whatever version. It's showing its age a bit now, but it's my streaming PC. So when I'm streaming on here, normally, or when I'm VRing as well, the Steam box is my streaming machine. and I'm actually going to probably replace this machine, replace this with the Steam Deck with a dock, because obviously I need all the IOs for the Stream Deck, not for the Elgato Stream Deck, and obviously cameras and shit. So for me, yeah, it will not just be used as an outdoor PC, but it will be used as my streaming machine, and I'm quite excited about it because there's a lot of possibilities. Like because it's got its touch screen, it's a pain in the ass having to, if I'm playing a game on here, and then I've got to have another keyboard for the second computer. Whereas if I've got this in the dock, I can just use a touch screen and probably set up some buttons and things, and it'll just be nice and easy to use. I think it's going to be a really good machine for actually streaming with. The first thing I'm going to do is actually sack off Linux and put Windows on it, because unfortunately the Elgato software only supports Windows for one, and two, well, Linux just doesn't. As much as Valve want to say that Linux supports all the games, Linux does not support all the games. So
Yeah.
Windows is game put on there straight away for me.
Oh, there's a lot there in there, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether it's powerful enough to do good streaming. I guess if you think your Steam machine of a few years age is capable of doing your
perfectly
streaming,
fine. So
and
yeah,
then let's be honest, probably a more modern processor, etc., probably is.
that's right. Yeah.
It'll be interesting with the graphics card whether the graphics accelerator can do the encoding well enough, I guess.
I've no.
Is it Nvidia or AMD?
It's AMD. So yeah, they've not got a great track record, but
Yeah,
streaming shouldn't be a problem at all.
I was being a bit sneaky there because as much as I'm talking knowledgeably about this thing, obviously, I haven't done a great deal of research into it. So I was hoping I was going to trick you into saying, "Oh, it's a proprietary graphics card." It's
so the CPU in it is a 4-core 8-thread Zen 2 based processor, which is basically it's equivalent. I'd say it's probably equivalent to a 3300X, which is not as powerful as a 3600 and definitely nowhere near as powerful as a 5600, which came out just recently. Yeah. But it's still it's still 4 cores, 4 threads. It's between 2.5 gigahertz to 3.5 gigahertz, depending on the thermal situations. And the graphics wise, it's got 8 RDNA CU units, which are the same as the ones in the Xbox and the PlayStation. The Xbox Series S has 20 of these graphics units, and this has 8, and they run slower. So that's the sort of specs of it. So it's a modernish architecture for the CPU and a very modern architecture for the GPU, but there's just not so many of them.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be able to chew through frames for like handling streaming quite nicely. I think you've hit on a good point there, and the only thing that makes me think or question how true that might be is...
Oh shit! You've got lots of trains down. I've been
missing it.
Shit!
I've just been slyly plopping.
You have, you bastard! Cock. All right, I need to start putting some stuff down then. I am.
Yeah, the only thing that makes me question whether that is the case or not, and whether it is actually a viable streaming thing, is it's 2021. Everyone streams. And even if you don't stream, you know what streaming is. So if it is possible to do that, why are they not singing about it? That's a cynical attitude of mine there.
It's because they really don't want to use Windows. They've got a really big.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, so they are. That's another good point, right? And I guess this is one where it feels like Valve has been banging this drum about using Linux as a gaming architecture for such a long time, but it's all been talk up to this point. And I say that with the most respectful way possible, in that they've been talking about it for such a long time. They've been saying they're going to do lots of things to develop SteamOS and make more developers accessible to developing on Linux and all this kind of stuff, but it hasn't gone to fruition. There's still a fraction of the games that are available on Linux as there are on Windows or even on Mac, and the amount of machines that are running Linux still hasn't increased. So it feels like they've really put all their eggs in this basket, and it does beg the question of, should you stop? But and this is kind of a nice thing, and I would hope this is going to come through. It's just part of a bigger thing. This whole Steam Deck, in terms of like supporting Linux as a platform, because they've been doing loads of work in the background. Unless you've got a Chromebook, you might not have a clue, but they are doing a ton of work to bring Steam to Chromebooks in like a containerized, Dockerized type. It's probably not Docker, but it's in a containerized Steam environment that's going to be available on Chromebooks now, which also makes me think that they've put in a lot of work into making Steam stuff work on lower powered hardware, because why do all that work if nobody can run it and you have to buy a new Chromebook?
So just to briefly interrupt, I've just quickly loaded up the Steam hardware survey, and according to their own survey, 96.6% of people use Windows, and 2.5% use Mac OS, and a absolutely huge 0.89% of people use Linux.
Yeah. But why is that? You know, if you can't play anything, you're not going to play it on Linux. There's still, you know, it's like you say, you're getting a Steam Deck and first thing you're doing is sticking Windows on. And even without the Elgato stuff, you'd be tempted.
I probably would anyway, to be fair, yeah. Just because
there's so many more games. But I guess that's the other side of it. The other part of the slice that they are working on is bringing a compatibility layer to...
Proton, I believe.
Proton is that one. So Borealis is the Linux OS or Chromebook versions of Steam OS, rather. And Proton is the Windows compatibility layer in Linux. And I think if you put all those things together, yeah, you've got a lot of stuff. But you know what? It's a lot of workaround just to avoid people using Windows, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I think it's fine for them not to ship with Windows. They don't have to. And also, shipping with Windows would have increased the cost by quite a lot, because OEM versions of Windows aren't free. But like sort of like last time, like with this machine, so I'm hoping they've actually sorted Linux out now. So this launched. Sorry if you can't see, it's phasing out. The Stream Machine, or whatever they called it, it launched with Windows because the delay for the Linux version took so long that the manufacturer, Dell, just decided to release it with Windows on instead. And after they released it with Windows on, it took Valve a full year, to actually release the Linux Steam OS. That's why the manufacturers were so pissed off, because they were holding back this hardware, not being able to sell it. And eventually this went, sod it, we'll just release it with Windows on, because the longer we wait, each month this technology is getting more and more obsolete. So we need to launch it now or never. And some launched it, and then a lot just didn't. And then Valve just sort of stopped talking about it. Yeah. It's like...
Could never happen, man. Never happen.
Steam Machine? What Steam Machine? What's that?
So I guess you said at the start of this particular section, you went, can Steam's or will Valve support hardware? And I mean, like, let's be honest, looking at track record, it's probably not, innit? Let's, you know, if you're buying this Steam Deck, if Google was putting this out, everyone tomorrow would be going, well, that'll be dead in 2 years' time.
That's true.
And you have to wonder whether that's going to be the case. And I guess...
But then again, it could also be the long game, because they've already said that they're letting other manufacturers use the OS for free. They're going to... I think they said they're going to actually release the hardware specs as well. Like... Oh, he's gone.
Scam is back. There we go.
I think they mentioned about releasing like the hardware schematics or whatever, so other manufacturers can make it themselves. So maybe their long-term aim isn't actually to keep making these. It's just to show other manufacturers that these are popular enough for everyone else to make, and then they can just stop making it.
Yeah. Yeah, quite possibly. And you have to think as well, like looking at it, as much as I'm sort of saying, oh, they'll probably ditch it because, you know, they ditched Steam Controller, they ditched Steam Link, they ditched Steam Machine. But all those three things are present within this device. They
That's
haven't
true.
ditched those things. The Steam controller is in there. The Steam Link is part of it and is now available in so many other places. And the Steam Machine is basically what drove the development as Steam OS, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, so talk about the other hardware. So the Steam Link they made obsolete themselves by managing to get it on to any other device, like Android and Chromecast and whatever. So there was no need for that anymore. It's sort of felt the same way with the controller a little bit. Is that they managed to get support for every single other controller through having this controller themselves, which made it possible to support all the Xbox controllers, all the PlayStation, everything, and
yeah,
have
yeah,
all these wonderful configurations, user-made configurations, because the community was so, pumped about it. So it sort of no longer needs to exist, I guess.
yeah, yeah. It's really fair. So yeah, it's a funny one, really. It's yeah, they've got a track record of ditching stuff, but you know they don't. It's never a full ditch, is it?
No, I think that's
So
fair.
yeah, I'd be interested to see where this one takes us. What are the even if this one does end up in the bin, what are the lessons to learn from this one? But I don't know. Valve are pretty good at that sort of thing. And I have to say, as much as those things were ditched probably before their time or whatever, the Steam controller is a really impressive piece of kit. I loved it and I did enjoy playing it for a while, but it still came down to there's so many games that I just would not
Use a
face the
controller
idea
with.
of playing with one. I'm like, no, I'd rather, and this is what I did do, I'd rather use my Steam Link and play it on keyboard and mouse up in my bedroom than try and fuddle through with this on Steam controller. Steam Link was an amazing piece of kit at like downscaling video and upscaling video and it really did bring down the latency across networks as well. It worked really well in really poor local network conditions. So, they were good pieces of kit, and you're saying your Steam machine is still going strong.
Yeah, it's still kicking
I don't know
about.
about the VR, but I'm pretty sure the VR's all right.
And yeah, I think everyone agrees that the VR's good, and they're still supporting it. They're still selling it. I mean, half. I think that's one thing they really could do is release a Half-Life. Go on, release a Half-Life
Yeah, come on.
exclusive, exclusive for Linux, exclusive for the Steam Deck,
That is
and
what they
that will
could
get a
do.
lot of sales. Yeah,
That is what they could do.
it will only work with the gyroscope in the Steam Deck. So you've got to buy a Steam Deck and
Yeah,
Half-Life free.
that's it. Yeah, sorry, you got to play it handheld. That's your. But actually, you think the. Oh my god! I just had a brainwave there. Steam Deck as the controller within a Valve Index game, like some kind of you say use the gyroscope or whatever. Why not? It's actually pretty cool.
So
Yeah.
I was going to. I thought of something there, but I've completely forgotten what it is. Is it so? We both ordered one. What particular games do you envision yourself playing on here that you can't already play on your Switch?
I think this is what's going to stop me actually going through with the purchase. Honestly, Elscorp, there currently isn't anything that I want to play on that I can't play on my Switch. I've just bought basically a new laptop, intended because I can't really get near the gaming PC that's attached to my front room TV. And ironically, this laptop's more powerful than my gaming PC attached to the front room TV. But so I've got like a way of playing something on a big screen. I've got something a way of playing things with really good graphical fidelity and high frame rate. And I've got, if you class the Nintendo Switch, I've got something that allows me to play those smaller games like more portably or more on the go. I don't really think I do need it. I've gone in for the pre-order because, like I say,
Have
it's
I just
not.
managed to convince you to cancel your pre-order now? Did I just do that?
No, I think I bought it knowing I probably don't need this, but I also know what I'm like. I like buying stuff.
I like buying stuff. Yeah, we are.
I like experimenting. I was a day one Steam controller purchaser. I didn't buy it for £1 with a free copy
Yes,
of a
it was,
game.
wasn't it? Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, imagine if they sold these off for. I doubt they'll sell these off for
No,
€1. Gabe would cry. I think he's crying already at the
yeah,
cheap one. He's like, "Don't sell them for this much." Just,
don't do it,
oh,
man.
man.
Yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, I probably don't need it if I'm honest. But what would I play on it? I'm trying to think of something that's like it's more than the stuff I'd play on the Switch, but less than the stuff I'd play on the laptop. I tell you what, there's a so I suppose it's only theoretical, but if Doth Romantic is a fantastic game, I've been playing it an incredible amount. It's Windows only. It's it's doesn't need a lot of power. It would work really well on Steam controller type things. Probably Doth Romantic, but
Tough romantic.
that's not a system seller for most people.
I think
What would you play on it?
for me, it's not going to change my life at all. Because I do most of my gaming on this big ass monitor I've got here. So I've
Yeah,
got a nice meaty computer behind me. I will do most of my 90% of my gaming here still. What I will use it for is when we're allowed to go places again, which will be nice, or commuting and things like this. I would definitely this would go with me everywhere where I used to take my Switch and I used to take my laptop, because I used to take the Switch so we could play some games, and I used to take the laptop so we could watch Netflix and things like that, or whatever I had on my laptop. This can do both of those things. I can just load it up like in a normal PC, have all the games on, have all my streaming stuff for Netflix or whatever I've got at the time, and that's a lot. It is a big machine, but it is still a lot smaller than having the Switch and a laptop with you. I can just get rid of both of those things and just use this. And also, I would be using it for streaming as well. I think if I wasn't actually going to use it for any other purpose than gaming, I'd definitely have no reason to buy it at all, because I can just do it already elsewhere. But if I get rid of some of my old stuff and everything, and then use it as a dedicated second machine for my streaming, I would actually get some use out of
I
it.
get that.
But if I wasn't doing that, then no, it shouldn't be on. It shouldn't be something I should be buying.
So who else would buy it then? Who? So like, if you're like, okay, I can see some uses, and it's a bit of a stretch, but I can see some uses. Who do we really see this as being? This is something that is my everything.
Well,
I am a
I
Steam
know a
Deck.
lot of people who love the gaming and everything, and they have PlayStations and obviously Switches and things like this. If someone asks me, "Oh, should I buy this machine?" I'd say no, basically, because at the end of the day, it is still a PC, and it comes with all the inherent problems that PCs come with. And especially if you stick Windows on it. I'm not sure about Linux, but Linux is not known to be the most user-friendly of environments. So if you're not really a tech nerd, then you're not your mileage may vary, obviously. But for instance, like Street Fighter 4 or 5 or something, anytime you launch that game, it will always launch off the screen, and you can't full screen it and stuff. And then you've got to look through forums, trying to figure out how to do it. You've got to look at launch options, type all this, command line crap in. You're not going to get your dad to do that, who just wants to log on to a computer, turn the computer on and play FIFA or whatever.
No,
So
and similarly, you're not going to get that same person who don't want to do that kind of thing. They're not going to drop into KDE to watch Netflix.
yeah, I mean, can you even? Oh, you can. You could
You
probably.
can apparently, I think, on SteamOS. I think you can drop in full. I think it does come with KDE installed, so there is like a graphical user interface to Linux. But it's still a barrier. It's still not. It's still not Windows, which is off-putting to most people who don't use it.
Yes, but I think like tech nerds and gamers who have Windows PCs or Linux PCs in general or whatever, they'll love it. But for the average gamer who just wants to, turn on the Switch and fire up Fortnite and things, I would not recommend this for anybody like that.
No, I agree. So it's for somebody. It's what we said. It's somebody who already owns a PC, is already got an extensive Steam library, and it's
Nice.
it's a compliment. So somebody much like yourself there, Rob.
Yes. Sorry, I was just picking my cards.
No, that's all good. I've already taken 2 more extra journey cards, I should point out.
Oh no, I'm lagging well behind. Never mind.
You've got a nice big loop, and I am considering whether to do something dastardly now.
Ooh,
Because you are definitely going between Los Angeles and Las Vegas for a little too. And I'm just wondering whether to just stop you doing that.
you play how you wish. You play how you wish.
Do you know what? It's so funny, right? If you play the multiplayer of this game, there's a lot of stuff in the chat, and it even says on some of the game names, no blocking. And I'm like, you can't mandate no blocking. Surely that is like it's a bit like in,
no Joker cards.
It's like if you do it, you basically, it's a bit of a dirty trick, but you know what you're doing, right? But you can't say you're not going to do it ever.
That was actually the first thing I did to Antje when the first game we played. She was like, she was doing absolutely amazing. I'm like, oh shit. Well, if I put one here, she's got to go a really long way around. And like, she can't believe you did that. I'm like, I need to. I've got no chance of winning now.
It's a game, and but like, I don't think I am going to do it just because I think it's quite I think this game's interesting. I think when it's 2 players, I don't think you need to do it. But if there's 4, you've just got to get the routes that you need to get. So
indeed,
yeah. I'm just sort of filling in now. I do quite like Ticket to Ride. It's been around for a while. I don't necessarily think this digital adaptation is the best of them.
Is it on Switch?
It's terrible. It's not on Switch.
See,
it should be on Switch.
You could play this now on a Steam Deck. Steam Deck. Yeah, see.
That's. I mean, in fairness, though,
I think it would be really good for board games actually, because it's got a touch screen. I think that's a good use case.
I used to play. My first version of Ticket to Ride digitally was on Xbox 360, and I think I played it on that before I played it as a tabletop game. And it really worked well. And yeah, there's absolutely no reason why this won't work well on a handheld. Yeah, it's a good fit. So I'm not sure why this isn't. I can only imagine. So you can tell this is not a new game. None of the architecture of this game is new.
The lobbying system is terrible, absolutely terrible.
100%. So this is, I would think, to refactor this into a more modern architecture for a more modern system, that's probably why it doesn't happen now. That's probably why it's not on Switch, and it's probably why it's not going to be on anything else. So, yeah.
Why did I go up that way? I think I thought I was going in a different direction. That was silly of me. Anyway, damn it.
But yeah, multiplayer games on Steam Deck it is a thing. I think, like I said earlier about Nintendo and Switch, they do a bit of online, but it tends to be first party stuff more than anything else, right? Their Smash Brothers online servers are pretty handy. Their Splatoon servers are pretty handy. But what else does anyone play online on a Switch?
Mario Kart 8. I don't know. That's all I used to play. I sacked off all my subscriptions, so no more Nintendo Online, no PlayStation 4 Plus, no Xbox Gold or anything like that. So that's another nice thing. Like, if I did want to play multiplayer games with the Steam Deck, I don't have to pay for the privilege of those 1 or 2 times a year when I take my Switch out and think, I want to play some online with people. Oh, I can't unless I pay €20 a year.
Yeah, I have family. So it really makes a lot of sense to me. But yeah, I can totally see that one. I think if you are an individual, unless you are playing Smash Brothers or Splatoon, there is very little compelling reason to have a Switch Online account. Overwatch. Maisie plays Overwatch. That's about it.
But you now have a nice, really sexy laptop that couldn't do gaming. Does it have a touch screen, by the way? Just out of interest.
What, the Steam Dock?
No, your laptop.
No, it doesn't. Again, like I suppose a lot of what I choose, I don't like. I had a touchscreen laptop before, and I know you're a big fan of them. I never got on board with it, and I
Oh,
rarely
right.
used it.
Yeah, I
So I
use
found
mine
it
all the time,
distracting.
absolutely all the time.
Never use it, and I find it distracting if I'm honest. So yeah, no, mine does not have a touchscreen, and I'm all right with that. I prefer not having smudge marks all over my screen as well.
Well, then, if you were using your Steam Deck, which doesn't have really any controls and is still basically a PC, so you're going to need to use a keyboard, the on-screen keyboard at some point, probably.
There you go, last turn.
Oh, shit. No, no, no.
Yeah. No, you're right.
No.
It's I think there are uses for it for sure, and I think there must be a market for it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be making it. It is definitely a play to. Well, you've got more of your stuff in Steam, so why go
I've got
anywhere else?
everything in Steam. Yeah, I think for me it's a no-brainer really. I won't be selling my Switch, but I will be handing it down to one of the children at some point when they can play games, and I won't be doing most of my gaming on there. I'll be doing most of my gaming still here. I don't think anybody really should be doing most of their gaming on the Steam Deck unless they really, really want to.
Nobody's using that dock, Tyler. Let's be honest.
They shouldn't be using
No.
that dock at all. It's like
If you
using
are,
a.
yeah,
Go ahead.
if
Yeah.
you are docking that anytime, if you do it anything more than a couple of times for novelty, or when you are round at somebody's house to play Fall Guys, or
I
you
mean,
can play
yeah.
couch co-op, couch multiplayer.
I probably will
maybe.
buy the dock, but I won't be ever using the dock for gaming
No, for
because I'll
streaming.
just be using it for streaming.
Mm, mm. Which I think is fine.
But other than that, I think maybe for like maybe LAN parties will be a thing again, and people will just like all convene with these and have a nice little LAN party on CS:GO or
Yeah.
whatever. I guess that's another thing you could do. I probably would take it to friends' houses occasionally so we can play some games together, but probably not so much. But it definitely won't be the big games. I'll take it to someone's house and we'll link it up to the TV and we'll play Towerfall and
Yeah, I think this is
multiplayer
it.
games like that.
You can do, like I say, couch multiplayer, fine. But I can't see it being for LAN parties because you're still gonna. Well, yeah, I suppose you can all sit in the same room and play on the inbuilt screens or whatever. But you're not all gonna dock it, and because there's not going to be screens laying around in people's houses, are you?
I mean, when you
And
say screen, it's just a TV.
yeah, but you know what I mean. If there's four of you and you all wanted to dock to do a proper LAN party type stuff, then you're all taking TVs or screens with you. And if you're all taking
Well,
TVs or screens with you,
you'd just LAN
you may as well
party in your hands, all playing. I mean, I've been to people's houses with my Nintendo Switch, and there's been like 5 or 6 of us all with the Switch, and we've played like 5 or 6 player Mario Kart, which is really fun.
yeah,
To be
it's
honest,
good. I mean, it's a good shout. It's fair.
I don't see that happening so much with the
But
Steam Deck, to
but
be
it
fair.
still
But like I
means
say, I'll take it to
you're
someone's
not
house
docking.
and we'll play just some games. But it won't be good games. Not I mean,
You won't be
it
docking.
won't be two players.
The only time you dock is couch multiplayer or as a novelty to say, look at what my thing
Yeah,
can do.
exactly. Yeah.
And then you plug it in and you can get 720p resolution on a screen. Great.
We've
No.
just got a question from Mad Dog Scurvy. I've just missed
What
it.
you got
It's a,
from me?
do you reckon you could mess with the Steam Deck to get it to run Xbox Cloud games using? Yes,
Yes.
install Windows 11, and that's it. Done. You
Yeah.
can then use Game Pass and play everything natively. I think Xbox Cloud now has it now works in the browser if you're in the beta because Apple said you're not allowed to do it through the app. So Microsoft did what
What Stadia do? Do
what
it through the
Stadia do. It's
browser.
like fuck it, we'll do it through the browser then. Screw
Yeah.
you, Apple. So yeah, you can either do it the xCloud through the browser, or you could just stick Windows on it and play the games natively. So
It just
that's
depends on depends
actually,
on how the controller's map, doesn't it? That's the only thing I'd say.
I did want to make this point about Microsoft because I think if Microsoft play their cards correctly, this could be very good for them and very bad for Valve. In that,
Hmm.
if Windows 11 is coming out in November, Microsoft need to make the home version of Windows 11 free for everybody. No dicking about. Just say Windows 11 is a free. Here's an ISO. Install it on whatever you want. The Pro version
Yeah.
is going to cost you. Companies, you have to pay for it. But any normal person can install it for free, and it has Xbox, Game Pass already there on the start menu, and you can just install it straight on your Steam Deck. Pay your subscriptions to Xbox
Yeah. Come and give us
Game
your
Pass,
10.
and that's it. They've not had to make the hardware, and they can just enjoy all the profits.
I agree. I agree totally.
So
There's,
yeah,
the Windows has long since passed the point of making sense to pay for its entry level version. Long since.
yes.
And to the point where most people have never paid for a copy of Windows, but most people have legal copies of
I have
Windows.
never paid for a version of Windows, and all my versions of Windows are legal copies. They're all Windows 10s. I even have a spare license just because I've got keys from everywhere, like old computers with the keys written on the side. Any key from Windows 7 upwards works
Yeah.
on Windows 10 installers. So this is how I've got everything to run. Obviously, the upgrade was free for a long time from 7 and 8. So yeah, right now they can't charge. They shouldn't charge for Windows 11. They should just say
Makes no sense.
everyone
And
free.
what it should, you're absolutely right. Rather than just pretending that it's a paid for product, which it hasn't been for a long time, just cut the cord, man, and let everyone have it. And like you say, make they're doing it with Xbox. They should be doing it with their other stuff. They've never really quite managed it with the movie passes or the music passes, have they? They've just too many contenders there. But yeah, absolutely.
But with
And like you said, charge for the Pro version because the Pro version's worth paying for if you're
the
doing
Pro
anything
version is worth paying for. Yeah,
other than web browsing or like using the computer.
I think that's the case with most softwares. In honesty, is that the home versions should always be free, and video editing software. So I use Resolve because it's free, whereas I don't use Adobe because it's a monthly subscription. And seeing as I only edit videos every so often, and it's only for my personal use, I don't want to pay a huge amount of money for this kind of software. So Resolve do charge for companies, and that's perfectly fine. Whereas I get it for free. If I ever do get a job in this, then that company would have to buy it for me and things. I think that's the best way to do software, is especially for creatives. Creative software should always be free, and then that person can learn the trade on it without having to be charged a fortune. And then when they get a job or start making money, sort of like the Unity model of the software's free until you make $100,000 euro pounds, and then we'll start charging you.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Same sort of thing with Windows. If you're using it for Pro, you need the Pro features like the BitLocker and the remote desktop and whatever else Windows Pro does that home version doesn't. But yeah, make home free, or even better, they should release the Xbox build of Windows 10, because Xbox does run Windows 10, and it's just got a really nice UI. If they released a version that's in between the two, the Xbox and the Windows 11, specifically for the Steam Deck, but without sort of saying it's for the Steam Deck, and they say, oh look, there's a Windows 11 with a cool Xbox big picture mode that you can just use touchscreens with, and yeah, that would, I think that would really shit on Gabe's Parade. Absolutely shit on him. He would be so gutted. He'd be like, nah.
I wanted this in Linux. I hate your proprietary closed open source closed operating system.
He hates it so much because he used to work for Microsoft, didn't he? He worked for Microsoft and then quit to make Half-Life. So
yeah, actually, scum. He's not scum. He's lovely. We love a bit of Gaben, but yeah, he's got his motives, hasn't he?
Do education still get hefty discounts on it? This is ARX 300. Welcome to the stream, if we don't say it already. It's a great way to get kids into only knowing how to use one operating system. That is true, yeah.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good shout. It's that one. I mean, there is a lot to be said for learning to tinker with Linux. If you learn to tinker with Linux, you can probably open your doors to many different career paths than if you are reasonably good with Windows.
That is very, very true indeed. Yes. Oh, am I still going? I thought you would finished.
No, it's your last turn.
Oh shit! It's my last turn. Can I actually get anywhere in my last turn?
No,
yeah, you've cock blocked me, haven't you? You can't proper cock block me.
I cock blocked you. I've just.
I'm just going
I
to stick
didn't
with
need
this
to
down
go
there
there.
because it's a long one and might give me a lot of points. So
Yeah, no, that's it. Longer ones do give you more points.
there we go.
Oh, that's a lovely 15.
That's a lovely
Beautiful. Right,
15.
let's see.
Let's
Let's see.
see.
You've got 78 to start with. I've got 68.
You completed all your cards, all right? I've still got two
Yeah.
cards. I completed one out of three.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah, no, I've won then. Ogre. Why is it not actually
ARX.
going
Who
to,
got the longest route? I have no idea.
why is it not going to Vic?
Maybe find out the next podcast, because when we log in, it'll probably tell us at that point saying you won your game 2 months ago. It's like
Oh no, I tell you what it is. I think even though it's last turn, I have to take cards, even though I can't put any down.
oh
That's what it is. There you go.
that
So
is
you
that's
got the
perfect
longest
UI.
route. Oh no, sorry, that wasn't longest route. That was your ticket of Los Angeles to New
Oh, look
York.
at that
Oh, you
cancel.
didn't lose
Look at all them points
you
I've just
lose 10, eh?
failed.
So I get 9.
Eee.
Denver to Pittsburgh, 11.
Oh,
Dallas to New York, 11.
yoik.
And Winnipeg, Little Rock, 10 as well. So yeah, I did win. I mean, in fairness,
But come on, look at this.
the
Look at
biggest
this long
thing on
one.
this game. So you get the longest route, which is lovely.
Yes. Okay.
Honestly, the tickets are the ones you have to get your tickets on this game more than anything else.
Yeah. That's where I completely failed there.
And
good.
ideally do it in such a way that takes a lot of the single routes, like to block other people from like the flexibility of it all.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how well this would work with having this in the background whilst we were streaming. So I kept forgetting to play the game, but it actually worked out quite well with the timing.
Yeah.
So I think like this is
that
a
was
good
pretty
timing
alright,
to like
actually.
wrap up the podcast probably.
Yeah, I think we done that.
I think we talked enough about it. So I think it's gonna be a great machine. I don't think it's gonna hurt Nintendo so much, and I hope it spawns a lot of imitators. I think this is a good thing for PC gaming or just the industry in general. I think it's a really good way forward. It's something new, something fresh. I like it, and hopefully it.
I'm not against it. I think the Switch has proven having two machines that do different things is a really good thing. And I think if you've got two machines that do different things but off similar catalogs of games, then that's an even better thing.
That zoom was perfect then.
Isn't it? I love it. Thank you.
Auto cameraman.
I've
been Scope.
I've been Prox.
And this was Chinballs podcast. Maybe we'll make another one again at some point. And I will be uploading. I should have probably said this at the beginning of the stream that it's on YouTube and Twitch and on Spotify. I'll be getting it on Spotify again. So until next time,
Scott, Chinballs TV,
Chinballs Gaming. Chinballs Gaming. I always say it wrong.
So old. Sorry.
Yeah.
Tried to do the shout out and failed. So Chinballs Gaming.
Chinballs Gaming. GG.